This is the Ryan Day Show, presented by Roosters, a fun casual joint, and brought to you statewide by Encova Insurance and by the American Dairy Association Mideast on the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics. Now, along with head coach Ryan Day and former OSU All-American Jim Lachey, here's the voice of the Buckeyes, Paul Keels.
And thanks for joining us for this week's show as Ohio State gets ready to host Ohio University Saturday evening at Ohio Stadium. Coach, thanks as always for your time. Third week in a row with a home game. How has that kind of stabilized your routine as far as practice and meetings and all the things that have to be done?
Well, that's what we're working towards is really focusing on the routine. And it's really only our second week of game week. When you lead up to the first game, it's a lot different. But then you only have, those practices. You get your Sunday practice, you get your Tuesday, your Wednesday. Thursdays, you're cleaning it up, and then before you know it, you're at the game. So these games start to happen fast. So we're really working on, our rhythm, what everybody's routine is. Starts on Saturday or Sunday, coming in, and these guys get a lift, and then we get out there and practice. We watch the film, we put that to bed, we move on to the next opponent. Monday, everyone's getting caught up with their academics. Game planning, and then they get in there and watch film, and they have a certain routine they have to do there. Tuesdays, first, second down, we call that Bloody Tuesdays. Wednesdays is more situational, cleaning up first, second down. Today, Thursday, we work on special teams, and we're cleaning up everything and kind of going through what a game would be like. Fridays are all walkthroughs, and then you're at it again. And so we've got to really master that routine, and that's what it's been. And so being at home has allowed us to kind of fall into a routine here, but we're trying to master that routine right now.
And Coach, you've kind of switched up your Saturdays too a little bit. When you get the noon start, boom, you're just getting up out of bed, getting ready to go, have breakfast, and get over to the stadium. 3:30 start, a little bit different. You got a little bit of time. When you get a night game, you guys started coming over here to the Woody just to have your kind of walkthroughs. And do you still do that? Is that going to be part of the plan this year?
Yeah, we did it for the 3:30 game. We came over, and it's good just to get a change of scenery, so you're not just sitting around in your hotel room. So we'll do that. We'll let them sleep in a little bit. Have a meal, come over here, have our walkthroughs, go back to the hotel, get off our feet a little bit, watch a few of the games, and come back downstairs, have our kicking meetings, have a few more offensive and defensive meetings, not to wear them out, but just to get them moving around a little bit, thinking about football. And then we have our pregame meal 4 hours before the game, and then we're off and running.
You've talked about it a few times this week, but with a game like last Saturday, with so many guys playing, could you see it translate to their activity and practices?
Yeah, it was a good week of practice. I thought yesterday was good. There was a lot of energy. These guys work. I'll give them that. They're working. We got to continually push and grind and get better in a lot of areas. We got to keep pushing, but they don't mind working, and that's a good thing. And I think to your point, when you sign yourself in a game, people see you play, you get some feedback. Being in the game, it's just good for the whole program. So there was a bounce in everybody's step this week.
It seems like every practice, at least last one, yesterday I was at, you have your ones on ones, good on good, go. I know it's limited. You should do some scout team too, but that's so important, those periods there where you can get, this is like a game type atmosphere for that, 5-10 minute period there.
Yeah, and we've done even more of that so far this year. And I think the thing for us is, like, when we look at our schedule, we can't be circling anybody on the schedule. Like, this is about how we train. And if we truly believe that we're going to fall back to the level of our training, then we have to, protect the fact that we're the hardest working and hardest training team in the country. That's our goal. So every day when we're out of practice, like you said, good on good. Because when you get to the scouts, sometimes it can get kind of watered down. Now, there's times where we have to make sure we're giving the right look. So schematically, we're sound in what we're doing. And we try to balance that out. But when we're good on good, whether it's in team run or 7-on-7 or pass rush, blitz pickup at the end of practice, third down, and then sometimes we'll kind of mix in, ones and twos and things like this, so we can get a good look with the guys that are out there. I think that's been good. Practice has been fast, and when you go good on good, it's just much more competitive. So we've got to do that, because that's ultimately what matters. And the process of how we're practicing and training, getting ready for these games to play on Saturday is what matters. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. It's about us. And so, a lot of coaches talk about that, but we have to practice that. And so the way we practice and how fast we practice is going to be critically important about where we go this season, because everybody in the country wants what we want, and it's just, who's willing to do the work on a day-to-day basis.
Knowing that you're always working on situations, now that you've got two games, with situations in game settings. How does that come into play with what you drill?
I just think that when you're in the preseason, it's play after play after play, and when you get into the season, you start to realize the consequences. You have a penalty, or you have a false start, or a missed assignment, or an incomplete pass. Now you're behind the sticks, and then before you know it, you're off the field if you don't convert on third down. So it just allows us an opportunity to understand the consequences of everything that goes on. And situations is something that we spent a lot of time on this preseason, especially going into that week one. But I do think our guys right now have pretty good situational awareness. You kind of get a feel for what's going on, because every play isn't the same. First and 10 to start a drive is different than 3rd and 8 on the 8-yard line. There's so many different dynamics at play. Time, score, situation all plays in.
Your defense has given up 3.5 points, a lot of things alike. How do you guys evaluate each group? And when you have your staff meetings, is it like, okay, defense, give me a presentation on what your guys did, or how they graded linebackers, corner, safeties? Is that how you go through it? And are you happy with all those groups and the way they're playing right now?
Yeah, never happy with anything. But there's definitely some positives and some things we need to work on. So, what we do on Sundays is meet with the offense. We go through that, and the same with the defense. And we go by position. And the position coach will go through each one of his guys that played, how many plays he played, whether he graded out over 80% was a champion. And then, from there we kind of go and sort of sum up, how the unit played, how they played as, offense and defense. And then we have our champions meeting to go through all that, recognize the ones that were. And I say it's feedback. It's feedback on your preparation, on your process, from your meetings to your preparation to how you did on the field, all the walkthroughs, your individual period. Between your coach and the player, it's their responsibility to grade out a champion. That's the goal. But then also the effort. And so, we say there's two things. We want to be the hardest playing team in the country and grade out a champion. And that really comes down to how your effort that you give and then doing your job. And if everybody's doing their job, we get a chance to reach our goals. And although that's simple, it's not easy. But the first thing we're always looking at is effort. And that's something that, I think so far these guys have given very good effort. Is it perfect? No. Have there been some loafs? Yeah, there's been some loafs, and that's unacceptable. But overall, these guys don't mind working, and a big part of it has to go back to how we practice. If you're going to practice with great effort, you're going to play with great effort. That's just how it goes, and you know that. Like, you could watch that in one of your teammates and say, I see him practice like that, and then I see him play like that in a game. But then for some reason, sometimes it's not easy as an individual to look at yourself and say, well, I'm just going to play this way in a game. It doesn't work that way. We practice way more than we play. So we have to perfect how hard we practice every day, and that's going to translate to the game. The good news is that I think how guys have been practicing is how they're playing in the game right now. So that's a sign that we're practicing the right way. And I think it's encouraging to the players to know, hey, when I put on the practice field, it's actually going to show up here during the game. Now, nothing's guaranteed. We got to go do it. But that's the thing about football that's different than other sports. You don't play many games. Most of the time, you're preparing to go play in a game. So it matters what goes on the field, and the best way we can do is to try to simulate games during the practice.
If you have a question for Coach Day, you can submit it to our Union Home Mortgage inbox at OhioStateBuckeyes.com and click on the Ryan Day Show inbox. Union Home Mortgage, the official home lending sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Learn about their 1% down payment program at UHM.com, and equal housing lender, NMLS number 2229. Saturday, Ohio State hosts Ohio University. Will be on the air with the AEP Energy Buckeye pregame show beginning at 5:30 p.m. More of today's show presented by Roosters coming up on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Buckeye fans, choose chill. Coors Light is cold lagered, cold filtered, and cold packaged for a smoother finish. It's got that crisp, refreshing taste that makes those moments when you choose to rise above the noise and choose chill even better. Coors Light is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics, so crack one open and take a sip. Coors Light, choose chill. Celebrate responsibly. 2025 Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado. Beer.
Hey, Ohio State fans, are you looking to score big with your home equity? Union Home Mortgage will help you unlock the value of your home and fund the promises you've made to yourself and your family. If you need to pay off debt, have home improvements, or whatever your family needs are, visit UHM.com and score financial freedom with Union Home Mortgage, the official home lending sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Union Home Mortgage Corp. is an equal housing opportunity lender, NMLS number 2229.
there's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Buckeye fans, this is for you. Level up with the brand new AAA Buckeyes MVP membership. You'll receive all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win tickets to Ohio State sporting events, access to exclusive MVP experiences, along with 10% off select gear at the Ohio State team shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Buckeyes MVP membership for free. Head to AAA.com/Buckeyes to upgrade or join the squad and put your fandom in drive.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix, guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. And you never compromise your appetite with our golden brown bread that's baked fresh in store. And you never compromise your wallet with our lower prices. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
Hey, Buckeye fans! As the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics, Roosters is kicking off an incredible giveaway you won't want to miss. This football season, we're giving away 12 ultimate Buckeye experiences. 3 drawings, 12 winners with prizes including tickets, sideline passes, and 3 trips to a Buckeye first-round postseason game. Go to roosterswings.com to register and see all the details. 3 drawings, 12 amazing prizes. Register today and every day. Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
Your home for Ohio State athletics. The Fan. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
Welcome back to our show this week as Ohio State gets ready to host Ohio University. Time for our 2 Deep Report presented by Elk & Elk. Serious fans of Ohio State athletics, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Go Bucks. We talked about all of the people that played in the Grambling State game. Coach, it would be an interesting thing for a lot of folks who aren't there to know what it's like on the sideline when some of those guys get in there for the first time or maybe the first time in a long time and just kind of pick up on some of their enthusiasm about actually getting it again.
Yeah, it's even more about the guys who, some of the older guys who are, don't get a chance to see some of their teammates get in the game, and then they do make plays. And so great to see some of our guys just, showing a lot of energy, and everybody has a role to play. And when you're able to get a guy who maybe doesn't see as much playing time out there, who's encouraging his teammates when they're on the field, those roles reversed is just good for the team. So, it was great. The sideline was even into it late in the game. And again, that goes back to the idea that the scoreboard doesn't matter. We got to. Every play is an opportunity, and some guys really took advantage of those opportunities.
Yeah, on offense, you can see when Bo Jackson had his big run, and when then Isaiah West gets in the end zone, everybody is so happy. The offensive guys, and same thing with Riley Pettijohn. Getting that scoop and score into the end zone, and just seeing the excitement. It's like those guys now feel like, hey, I'm part of this club. They went through that initiation. They were able to go out there and make a play, and now it's like you can see the confidence, and you can see it this week in practice. And Riley's a heck of a football player. He's shown a lot. Just watching him practice the last 6 weeks or so, and now to go out there and do it in a game. And same thing with, when you look at Bo Jackson, he's been making those plays in practice. Now it starts to pay off.
Yeah, and I said that before. Every opportunity to get on the field with a rep is an opportunity to prove yourself. And some guys really take that opportunity and run with it. And then when they do it, they're building trust. And that starts in practice. It starts with their preparation, what time they get in the building, and their meetings, and are they answering questions the right way, and are they doing the right things in a walkthrough? Are they doing things the right way during practice? And start to build trust in your teammates. You build trust in your coaches. Then it's time to go do it on the field. And then when you do, what's going to happen? You're going to find yourself more opportunity. And special teams is a big part of that, because when you're put into a game and someone's giving you a special team job to do, and you're able to do that, you're going to find yourself on the field in your position. So all those things come into play, and some guys just understand that right from the jump. Some guys kind of have to figure that out as they go, but it was good to see some guys get in the field, use the opportunity to earn more reps.
How does a fast start like that help with what you want to call offensively and plays to implement and things like that?
Yeah, I think that was something we wanted to do coming into the game. You saw us play with some tempo. We spread the ball around. We got the ball in space to some of our players, which is something we always have to do. I felt like in the first game, we did establish a physicality that needs to continue, needs to grow, needs to build. But we also want to get the ball spread around. So when we're doing both of those things, that's when we're putting the most stress on the defense. And I also think, we have to identify what a defense is doing. And then if you have the ability to run the ball when you need to, throw the ball when you need to, then you have the balance that you're looking for. So a lot of it's going to be based on our opponent and how they're playing us. But we like to be 50-50 in those opportunities.
We talked in the first segment how things carry over from practice last week when I was out there. You guys were doing tempo a lot, playing fast. And you're like, okay, this is going to be part of the game plan. And it paid off, especially when you saw the ones out there, playing fast, playing tempo. And quite honestly, Julian looks really comfortable running tempo, the way he played and the way he dealt the ball around to a lot of different receivers.
Yeah, and there's a lot of benefits to playing fast. But there's pluses and minuses to everything. And said this before, when you're exclusively one thing, eventually, people are going to dive onto that. There's too many great coaches nowadays. They're going to make adjustments and get things to their advantage. So I think with the more things you can do, whether you line up in bigger sets and spread them out, or line up with little guys and bring them in, playing with different tempos. There's just a lot of things that we can do to put stress on the defense to make sure we're dictating. When you just become one thing over time, they just start to gang up on you. And so we want to make sure that we have the ability to get into whatever we need to.
Is that where the depth of tight end and the different formations you can use comes into play?
And personnel groupings. So that's, I would say, if you say what's the biggest difference right now with where we are compared to where we've been in the past, we have more flexibility in personnel groupings. And I think that I said that in the press conference this week. When we've been mostly 11, which is good. We have a lot of really good athletes here, but schematically sometimes you can kind of get drilled down on. I think being able to get into different multiple personnel groupings and then multiple formations out of those personnel groupings keeps defenses on their heels a little bit more, and so we'll keep building on it.
Is there a percentage of what you want to be in 11, 12, 13, different, empty? Is there a percentage that you like to kind of keep, going into that game plan, like, hey, we want to do this, this, and this, to kind of plan that out, or is you just kind of a feel thing?
I think going into games, you have a plan of this is kind of what we see happening, based on a lot of different things, and then as we get into the game, sometimes it plays out exactly the way we think, sometimes it doesn't, based on how things are going, based on what they're doing schematically, based on how the score is, based on how the defense is holding up. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. But each game, we like to have an idea of, hey, we see it kind of going this way in these types of formations and these groupings, and this is how we'd like to attack, and then kind of go from there. Sometimes injuries play into play. There's a lot of things. So each game, we have a thought process going in. We have a game plan, but then we have to adjust.
Is that where the efficiency of communication from sideline to field, or press box to sideline, et cetera, comes into play too? That probably more in between series on where we're going. You watch the film, you identify what just happened on the last drive, things that are going well, things that aren't, and then we have to make adjustments in game to think, to give our guys the best situation to be successful, ultimately score points on offense. But it's the same thing on defense. We have guys now that can do multiple things, and we want to be able to do that, get into multiple fronts, use different groupings to put our guys in an advantage. And again, the more we can do of that. Now a big part of that is being able to, process all that. Our guys need to be able to put the work in to be able to do this, because the easy thing to do is play just a couple of defenses and play really, really fast, which is great. But when you have the ability to do both, line up and play and just, go right at people, that's great. But when you can mix it up too, you have that ability, then certainly, again, it's advantage Buckeyes.
How much better is it now that you're in week 3 to have really good 2 games of film on your opponent? They got 2 games of film on you, but you can kind of dial in on what they're trying to do and some of their personnel and how they use them.
Yeah, that's it. It's more about personnel. You get a couple games of scheme, but you start to get an idea personnel-wise how last year's team compared to this year's team. Very much the case with us. We're very different than we were last year. Same with this team. They're different than they were last year. Both really good teams, but just different. So as you start to get more and more of these weeks into the season, you get an idea of where they are, where they're focusing, some of their play and where they want to, put guys in position to make plays, whether it's on offense or defense.
Be sure to check out the Buckeye Game Day Concert Series presented by the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer before every home game this season outside of St. John Arena in Buckeye Fan Fest. Each week features a different artist on stage 2 hours before kickoff. Get on board and book your cruise today. Visit BuckeyeCruise.com. Go Bucks and beat cancer. We'll have more of today's show with Coach Dave, presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Hi, this is Paul Keels. This Buckeye season, don't let a broken windshield ruin your game plan. Safelite Auto Glass makes it easy to get your windshield fixed with their mobile glass shops all over Central Ohio. They can come to you anywhere, giving Buckeye fans more time for game time. OH? Man, I love that. Schedule at Safelite.com. Safelite Auto Glass is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
Safelite Repair, Safelite Replace.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, 2-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance and their local independent agents are prepared for what's next and protect what matters most to you. Whether that's your home, car, business, or family, Encova's got your back with a policy that fits you perfectly. With local independent agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova's playbook is an easy win for your peace of mind. You can trust their team of agents to develop a strategy that's just right for you. And it's not just X's and O's. Your expert agent will guide you and provide insurance solutions so you can confidently manage your risk and count on a financially secure future. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you. Encova is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
AEP Energy wants to know if you're ready to say goodbye to higher rates and hello to savings. Get your energy costs under control by locking in a fixed rate for your electricity supply. You'll lower your bills and get price protection from rising rates. Take control and lock in a low fixed rate. Visit aepenergy.com/OSU to get started. AEP Energy, the official electricity and natural gas sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. AEP Energy is a competitive retail electrical and natural gas service provider and affiliate of Ohio Power Company, AEP Ohio. AEP Energy is not soliciting on behalf of and is not an agent of AEP Ohio.
The Donato's Pep Duo Pizza is back, and it brought a pal. The Donato's Pep Duo, loaded with crispy pepperoni and 3 kinds of cheese. Now get a large Pep Duo pizza for just $14.99. Also back, Donato's deliciously dippable pepperoni cheese bread. Now on the $5 Pizza Pals menu for a limited time. More toppings, more flavor, more fun. Donato's, gotta love more.
When you're here, you understand what it means to be a Buckeye. And at Elk & Elk, we're proud to wear scarlet and gray every Saturday. Every client, every day, means if you're ever injured, we're proud to stand with you in court. And when you're here at the shoe, we're proud to stand with you and cheer on the Buckeyes.
Whether we're here at the big game or in court, we are committed to you.
Elk & Elk, proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. You're listening to the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Buckeye fans, power up and carbon down with AEP Energy and Eco Advantage, their 100% renewable energy plan for your home or business. Visit aepenergy.com/OSU to get started. AEP Energy, the official electricity and natural gas sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Welcome back to our show this week as the Buckeyes get ready to host Ohio University. And time for our Inside Access with Kroger. A reminder that Kroger Pickup is the easy way to get what you want right when you need it. Try Kroger Pickup today in the Kroger app or at Kroger.com. We talked about now how you've got 3 straight games at home, but Coach, as much as you can divulge, how helpful has it been to have these stages for recruiting, for the presentation that the whole program wants to exhibit?
Yeah, it's been good. I think, people kind of, we're talking a little bit about the first game and, how some guys who hadn't played a ton were able to step into that environment and play well and win the game. And I think a part of that is during the recruiting process. We have recruits in here who see some of these monster games we have at home and what the expectation is. And so we talk to them all the time. We're not able to spend as much time with them during these visits, but we're able to talk to them about, hey, when you're here, you got to picture yourself in this game. You're expected to come here to win games like this, and So I think when they understand what the expectation is, then they're able to step into that moment and be ready to go. And so it's great to have recruits here to recognize what it's going to look like.
Coach, looking at the Bobcats, one stat that really sticks out with their defense is third downs. I think they've 3 of 23, 13% opponents have had third down conversions. What do the Bobcats do on third down to make them so effective?
Well, they've gotten a lot of people off schedule and forced a lot of teams into third and longs, which is the biggest key. But they do a nice job with their rush. They do a nice job with their coverage. They have some guys underneath who do a nice job of, really recognizing, how teams are trying to attack them. And, I think that's a big deal. They do have man, but they also have zone. And I think they do a nice job of recognizing the patterns and driving on the ball. But really, if you look at it, they've forced teams into some different third down situations that have been, backed up for them in terms of the distance. So we got to stay on schedule. We got to make sure that we're playing, in our favor when it comes to third downs, because if you're in a third down and long and you're 20% completion or conversion rate, you're probably one of the better teams in the country. When you're in short yardage, you're expected to get that about 80% of the time. So when you play the numbers on this, a big part of third down is staying on schedule. They've done a good job of getting people off schedule this year.
We'll start with some of our Union Home Mortgage inbox questions. Mike in Centerburg, Tom in Nelsonville. What are some of the concerns playing a dual threat quarterback present, like what you'll see from Parker Navarro?
Well, they equate numbers. So, they're going to read somebody and then run, or they're going to run the quarterback, which is +1 run. So numerically, they have an advantage. And obviously the second thing is the ability to escape or extend plays with his feet. So all of those things are a concern when you're playing against an athletic quarterback.
Do you spy an athletic quarterback like that, or do you have something, spies, so to speak, that have to, make sure that where he is, or more of an emphasis on it against a guy that, ran for 1,000 yards and 18 TDs last year?
Yeah, both. You can't just be, reckless with your rush lanes and going up the field and just leaving gaping, cavities in there. And then there's also opportunities to have somebody in there to make sure that he's accounted for one way or another. But we also got to be aggressive, move the line of scrimmage back, and push the pocket in his face.
Speaking of quarterbacks, just some of your thoughts after the fact with how Julian Sand performed last week.
Yeah, I thought he was accurate. The ball came out on time. His feet were good. He was accurate downfield. So it was a good next step for him, and we'll put more on his plate this week.
Lincoln Keenholt's got his first career touchdown, and that was also good to see him come in there and run the offense. And, guy could have a broken chin strap. You never know when your backup quarterback's going to have to go in there and do it, and he was able to go in there and have some success.
Yeah, and I thought he had good poise out there as well. He looked comfortable, had a few runs, made a couple passes as well. Good. I mean, he's practiced well. I thought he had a good week of practice leading up to that. He had another good practice yesterday. So that's good. I mean, that's good for the team. It's healthy for the room, and it was good to see Julian. They work with each other. Julian has success. Lincoln, supports him, and vice versa. So, good for the room, because at some point, well, I'll say this: the more Lincoln can do, the more we'll give him opportunities too. Whether it's a package or something like that. So. We'll work through those types of things, but he's doing a nice job.
We know these quarterbacks have to have all kind of athletic ability, but are these guys, when you look at what they've done up to this point, that they kind of give you all of those different options?
Yeah. I think both guys are athletic. They can extend plays. They have good foot quickness. Both are good athletes. So. Yeah, I mean, you have to be a good athlete nowadays to play quarterback. You can't just sit there like a wooden soldier. You got to make sure you can move in the pocket and at least extend plays. And then have the ability to pull the ball in a certain situation where you're reading somebody to equate numbers in a run game.
Yeah, I played with one of those wooden soldiers, Dan Fouts, but he ended up being a pretty good quarterback, but he wasn't going to move off his point. Coach, you talked about your punt return and trying to improve that, a little bit of a red flag there, and the hidden yards, when you let the ball bounce, things like that. How do you emphasize that? What do you have to do in practice? Because it's hard to get that duplicate look each and every time. Because in games, it's just things happen. But how do you emphasize that, or how do you try to get better at that point?
Well, you typically get what you emphasize. That's the first thing. We've got to emphasize that part of it and make sure everybody understands how important it is. Especially now with AstroTurf, almost on all the stadiums that we play, when that ball hits the ground, it is rolling. And with some of the Aussie punts and things like that, they roll even more. Maybe than the old spiral punts used to. So we got to field the ball. Now, sometimes if it's a shank, there's not much you can do. You got to poison it and get everybody out of the way. But we want to pick that ball up right off the punter's foot and try to field everything we possibly can to save the ball from rolling. And so, that's something that we're really focused on. And then we have to continue to do a great job holding up front. I think we've just been, a few blocks away in some of our return stuff, kickoff return last week on the one that we had. And then, in the punt return as well during the first 2 weeks. So, we want to dominate in special teams. I don't think we have yet. I think the effort's there. We just need to clean up some things.
Have you been changing personnel around to make sure you get the right guys out there?
We will. I think at first we also got to make sure, like anything, is the schemes, the coaching, or is it the personnel? I think we're all going to work on coaching it better, but we definitely want to make sure we have the right guys in the game.
From a defensive standpoint, we saw what Caleb Downs was able to do with some of the different looks that he presented, that you presented as a team. Is he the kind of guy that gives you, I won't say unlimited options, but gives you a wide variety of options of how he can be used?
Yeah. And, you saw him in that situation. He's blitzing, he's, playing in the middle of the field, he's playing down, he's covering a tight end, and then he's, faking a blitz and popping out, intercepting a ball. So, yeah. It's great to have his skill set, but also just making sure everybody's on the same page back there, and his communication is probably the thing that nobody talks about enough.
Had 10 interceptions last year. You got 3 already this year. So on course of it seems like they're ball hawking a little bit more, and that could be like you said, scheme, personnel, whatever. But you're having some good results, and success breeds success. When one guy gets an interception, also the next guy, he's looking to make a big play. And you're starting to see that early on with the Buckeyes.
Yeah, and I think every coach emphasizes it. We've really tried to, overemphasize it this year. Matt calls it, CPR, club punch and rip, and then to get their hands on balls, tip balls, interceptions, and again, every coach in America talks about this. But we really tried to overemphasize it and work it during practice in terms of individual drills, but also against each other. That's happened. I thought it happened really good preseason, like the first half of the season or preseason, and so coming out of week 1 last week, we wanted to put an extra emphasis on it to try to, create turnovers and attack that ball. So anytime we can do that, it gives us a better chance to win the game. We look at all these statistics and all these things, and as we all know, turnovers is critical. So these guys are going to continue to work on that, because the more turnovers we create, the better chance we have to win.
Next, from the Union Home Mortgage inbox questions, Becca in Urbana asking about, and we talked about this from the get-go, second and third team units, with the way they played Saturday. Is some of that a result of the extra practices that guys got last year?
Yeah, for sure. We were able to get, I forget how many practices we had last year, but we were well over 100. And so, those guys had played a lot of football, and then you have the spring practice right into it, and then you have preseason. So, yeah, while a lot of those guys, it's a good point, while a lot of them don't have a lot of game experience, some of those guys have practiced a lot. Not the same as playing, but, they know what's going on out there. They don't look like they're out of place. So that, I think, is a good point, that maybe I didn't quite consider, is the fact that there really wasn't much of a drop-off when we went from the 2s, and even the 2s to the 3s, because a lot of those guys have practiced, last year playing, such a long season that we had.
You had 2 freshmen had their black stripes removed, Jarquez Carter and Zion Grady yesterday. Both those guys have been working hard, and, obviously they've been playing a little bit on Saturdays. It's good to see those guys get rewarded to have their black stripe removed yesterday.
Yeah, and on Saturday when they got in there, they made plays, and that's taking advantage of your opportunity. And so, Coach Johnson felt like that was the right time to pull their black stripe off, and so, as we know, that's a big deal around here. So good to see those guys recognized for their play.
Buckeye fans, this season Roosters is giving away 12 ultimate Buckeye experiences, including tickets, sideline passes, and trips to a postseason game. 3 drawings, 12 prizes. Register today and every day at roosterswings.com. Roosters, a fun, casual joint. And more of our weekly show with Coach Day, presented by Roosters, when we continue on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
If you are a fighter, Modelo is your reward. So listen close. You put up with a lot, but you always hold it down for your people. You are strong. You are fearless. You are the baddest on the block. You are an elbow grease factory, a force of nature. You are not to be reckoned with. You are a ride or die, a powerhouse of productivity. You are a fighter, and Modelo is your reward. You've earned every last drop of this rich golden lager, so raise it up high. Modelo, the mark of a fighter. Drink responsibly. Beer imported by Crown Imports, Chicago, Illinois.
Go behind the scenes of one of the most recognizable landmarks in all of college athletics with a tour of Ohio Stadium presented by Experience Columbus. A seasoned redcoat will be your guide as you make your way through walls of the stadium, into the press box, and onto the field. Upgrade to the VIP package and get special access to the band center and the Ohio State home locker room. From corporate outings and school groups to single-person tours and small families, Ohio Stadium tours offer a variety of options and pricing. For more information, visit ohiostatebuckeyes.com and book your tour. Ohio Stadium Tours, presented by Experience Columbus.
When it comes to your cancer diagnosis, the choice for your care is clear.
And when you choose the James at Ohio State,
you're opting for care from a highly specialized team dedicated to treating one type of cancer, yours.
A team that studies the unique makeup of your disease to develop a personalized treatment plan.
You're choosing our region's only comprehensive cancer center designated by the National Cancer Institute.
For your cancer care, the choice is clear. The James at Ohio State.
At Kroger, you never compromise. You get high quality and low prices. Like you never compromise your meal with our spring salad mix, guaranteed fresh. And you never compromise your budget with lower prices on over 1,000 items. And you never compromise your appetite with our golden brown bread that's baked fresh in store. And you never compromise your wallet with our lower prices. Hand it to Kroger shoppers. You never compromise. Kroger. Fresh for everyone.
Toyota gives you the power of choice. Now through September 30th, get 4.75 APR financing on a stylish new 25 Corolla or 5.75 on Corolla Hybrid. Excludes Corolla Cross and GR Corolla. Or lease a gas-powered 25 Corolla LE for $199 a month for 36 months with $36.99 due at signing. With approved credit through TFS, tax, title, and license extra. Call 1-888-36-TOYOTA for details or go to toyota.com. Toyota, let's go places.
James Peoples here, running back for the Ohio State Buckeyes. You have to check out the brand new AAA Buckeyes MVP membership. Get all the benefits of AAA, such as 24/7 roadside assistance, plus chances to win tickets to Buckeye sporting events, access to exclusive MVP experiences, along with 10% off select gear at the Ohio State Team Shop. Already a AAA member? Add the Buckeyes MVP membership for free. Head to AAA.com/Buckeyes to upgrade or join the squad and put your fandom in drive.
Your home of the Buckeyes, the Fan. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State athletics.
Join Coach Ryan Day and experts from across Buckeye Nation to preview every matchup and break down each week's game. Game Time with Ryan Day, presented by Huntington Bank, airs Saturday mornings at 9 on 10 TV in Columbus and statewide on OhioStateBuckeyes.com. And welcome back to our show this week as Ohio State hosts Ohio University. Saturday evening, that'll be a 7 p.m. kickoff at Ohio Stadium. We're going to go back to our Union Home Mortgage inbox list of questions, and this comes from Brittany in Columbus and ties a little bit, Coach, to what you guys do with your hospital visits and your involvement with the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer. Saturday is Buckeyes for a Cancer-Free World. Why is it important to make sure that the football program brings attention to important issues like that?
Well, I think first off, it's our responsibility, as a football team to understand how we, work with the community, but most importantly, how we work with the university. And the Wexner Medical Center is some place that just does amazing things. The James Cancer Research Hospital is tremendous, one of the best in the world. And, their, goal of curing cancer is something that I think, we all need to be a part of. And it also gives perspective to our players. When you, are in the world that we live in with so much going on and so much at stake each Saturday, you walk into that hospital and you appreciate the nurses, you appreciate the doctors, and you appreciate the patients who are going through all these difficult times. You appreciate the family members who are there to support the people that are going through, these treatments. And so I think it's really healthy for our players, and it's the right thing to do.
Coach, NFL action started last week, and I know you had to be happy for Emeka Egbuka, the start that he had. 4 catches, 2 touchdowns, and kind of called his own play. He goes, hey, I'm going to get this one. I'm going to get it. And sure enough, he gets in there and kind of takes me back to the national championship where there's that video of him studying, Jeremiah, hey, we got to run a go route on this guy. And sure enough, you run a go route and you get it. But, again, you work hard, you study hard, and you practice hard, and good things happen on Sunday and Saturday afternoons.
Yeah, Emeka's, one of many who we're just so proud of playing in the NFL, and I know all Buckeye fans are as well. But and Mecca in particular is a great example of somebody who, stayed that extra year, and now he's really ready. It's one thing to get to the NFL, it's another thing to stay in the NFL. We talk about that a lot. I mean, he's ready, and I also think that it's our job to make sure that when guys walk out of this program, they could go on and coach somewhere because of the time they've put in to understand what how the game works, the schematics of it all, the teamwork, the leadership. There's so many things that go into it, and he's a good example of somebody who was a student of the game. His football IQ is off the charts, and every year he learned more and more about that. So I'm sure he's bringing a lot to the table there down in Tampa.
Their contact with current day players when they come back, years even removed, still playing, or when they're done playing in the NFL. Can you even quantify how important that is to the guys that are in this building nowadays?
That was great during the first week. We had all those guys on the sideline, and I look over and I look up and I just see Big DeWand. I hadn't seen him in a while, and I got, Parrott. We had all kinds of players on there in the sideline, and the sideline was packed. Matt Patricia's like, how many guys were on the sideline? I couldn't even get to the bench to talk to my players because we were getting late in the game. I said, well, that's just how it goes at Ohio State. We got everybody over there. We got all the the guys who are walk-ons. We got the trainers, and we got former players on the sideline. But it just created such a great atmosphere there. But I just think that the support that they feel from the former players is important. And then we try to make sure that all the former players understand how important it is for them to feel like this is their program as well, because they're the ones that have put the work in on the field and have allowed the opportunities for the current team to go out and be on this type of stage. And so we have so much respect for all the former players who have come through and put all the blood, sweat, and tears on that field, on the practice field and in the horseshoe.
Carnell Tate continues to make impressive plays, and again last week, I mean, he's just a guy that continues to work out. And Jeremiah gets a lot of attention, but what Carnell and Brandon is able to do, in that group is so special and important in this team.
I think he's playing well right now. He's playing fast, tremendous throw and catch on the touchdown play. That's 2 in a week, two contested throws and catches in 2 weeks. So, like you said, there's going to be so much opportunity for him this year. And another example of how we can stress out a defense by having someone like Carnell and Jeremiah on each side, and then you have Brandon in the slot, then you have our tight ends and running backs. I mean, that's the idea, that you can't just focus in on one area of the field. And we can spread it again horizontally by getting the ball out of our hand quickly and in the run game, and then shoot it down the field. Again, that's where we're at our best.
And you can use how a defense covers Jeremiah against them. You guys recognize what they're trying to do to Jeremiah, and okay, you're going to do that, then we're going to do this. And that's you can't do combo or double one guy. Sooner or later, somebody else is going to burn you.
I think any really good offense or great offense, a coordinator is going to come in and say, okay, we got to take care of this. We got to stop this. And Jeremiah is one of those pieces for us that we got to stop this guy. Well, once you do that, you're going to give up something else, and it's our job to make sure we identify ways to get him the ball, despite the fact that teams are going to do that. But then on the flip side of it, what is it opening up for us so that we can make sure ultimately we're scoring points? And that's one thing for a wide receiver like him to understand. And I think that he loves having the ball in his hands, but he also loves winning. And so when you're part of a team, you have to be unselfish. And that means sometimes, if 2 guys are covering you, but somebody else is in a one-on-one situation, man, you did your job in a big way. It doesn't feel like it. It may not show up in the statistics, but that's the impact that you're having on this game because you're making everybody on the field better. And I know he understands that, but it's okay to tell him every now and again on those big plays, hey, man, we had a one-on-one situation because of all the work you've put in. And that's part of winning football.
Mike in Centerburg with our next Union Home Mortgage inbox list of questions, and this comes because of today's date. Everyone has a story about where they were and what they were doing on 9/11. Is there anything you can share about what you were doing, where you were, and the effect, obviously, that it had?
Yeah, I was in college, and I was getting ready to go to my I believe it was like a 9:30 class. And I was at the house with my roommate, and I saw the first plane hit. And I couldn't believe it. And then as we were sitting there watching, we just couldn't believe what was going on. We're in the Northeast. We're up in New Hampshire. And then we saw the second one hit, and they said, well, we're not going to class today. Like, this is a disaster. And so, we actually had one of the guys on our team whose uncle was a firefighter who went in, who lost his life that day. And we were actually supposed to play Hofstra, who doesn't have a football program anymore, but that was in a city. The game was canceled because of the location. And it was just a very, very eerie feeling that day. And a day that, for those of us who went through it, we'll never forget. And we certainly won't forget all the people, that died that day.
Well, Coach, thank you as always. We wish you the best come Saturday with the Bobcats.
All right, guys, thanks.
That's Ohio State head coach Ryan Day. Union Home Mortgage is the official home lending sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Learn about their 1% down payment program at UHM.com. An equal housing lender, NMLS number 2229. We will talk with Ohio State tight end Will Kacmarek when we continue with our weekly show presented by Roosters on the Ohio State Sports Network from Learfield.
Experience Buckeye Game Day like never before. Welcome to the 1922 Club, the most exclusive space inside Ohio Stadium, where luxury meets tradition in the heart of Buckeye Nation. Enjoy upscale food and beverages and a game day atmosphere like no other. Create lasting memories with friends and mingling with other Buckeye fans, and celebrate every OHIO in ultimate comfort. Become a member of the 1922 Club today. Memberships are limited. Visit OhioStateBuckeyes.com.
Hi, I'm Archie Griffin, two-time Heisman Trophy winner. The right coverage can be a game changer, both on and off the field. That's why Encova Insurance and their local independent agents are prepared for what's next and protect what matters most to you. Whether that's your home, car, business, or family, Encova's got your back with a policy that fits you perfectly. With local independent agents in your neighborhood and innovative insurance products that can be tailored to fit your unique needs, Encova's playbook is an easy win for your peace of mind. You can trust their team of agents to develop a strategy that's just right for you. And it's not just X's and O's. Your expert agent will guide you and provide insurance solutions so you can confidently manage your risk and count on a financially secure future. For auto, home, and business insurance, you want Encova on your team. Visit Encova.com today to find an agent near you. Encova is a proud sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. Go Bucks!
There's one medical team in Central Ohio skilled enough to care for your favorite Ohio State team, and Buckeyes everywhere. The Ohio State University Wexner Medical Center is your choice for the most highly specialized orthopedic and sports medicine care. Our surgeons, physicians, and physical therapists have access to the most advanced treatments and innovative recovery approaches to get you back in your game. Because on or off the field, our team is your team. The choice for your orthopedic care is clear.
Go behind the scenes of one of the most recognizable landmarks in all of college athletics with a tour of Ohio Stadium presented by Experience Columbus. A seasoned redcoat will be your guide as you make your way through walls of the stadium, into the press box, and onto the field. Upgrade to the VIP package and get special access to the band center and the Ohio State home locker room. From corporate outings and school groups to single-person tours and small families, Ohio Stadium tours offer a variety of options and pricing. For more information, visit OhioStateBuckeyes.com and book your tour. Ohio Stadium Tours, presented by Experience Columbus.
Hey, Buckeye fans! As the official wing sponsor of Ohio State Athletics, Roosters is kicking off an incredible giveaway you won't want to miss. This football season, we're giving away 12 ultimate Buckeye experiences. 3 drawings, 12 winners, with prizes including tickets, sideline passes, and 3 trips to a Buckeye first-round postseason game. Go to roosterswings.com to register and see all the details. 3 drawings, 12 amazing prizes. Register today and every day. Roosters, a fun, casual joint.
AEP Energy wants to know if you're ready to say goodbye to higher rates and hello to savings. Get your energy costs under control by locking in a fixed rate for your electricity supply. You'll lower your bills and get price protection from rising rates. Take control and lock in a low fixed rate. Visit aepenergy.com/OSU to get started. AEP Energy, the official electricity and natural gas sponsor of Ohio State Athletics. AEP Energy is a competitive retail electrical and natural gas service provider and affiliate of Ohio Power Company, AEP Ohio. AEP Energy is not soliciting on behalf of and is not an agent of AEP Ohio.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.
Buckeyes are known for paying it forward. That's why Buckeyes Care strives to serve the betterment of our community by positively impacting families across Ohio. Joint partners American Electric Power, Donato's, Kroger, the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the James Cancer Hospital, Huntington Bank, and WBNS-TV in Columbus in supporting this cause at ohiostatebuckeyes.com/BuckeyesCare. And welcome back to our show this week. It is our pleasure to have Will Kacmarek, tight end, joining us for a few moments. You've been a popular interview subject this week, having been a former Ohio Bobcat. Still some friends on the team down there, Will?
Oh, yeah. Some of my roommates are still on the team, and, I mean, I've been around all those guys for a few years now, so, you know, love those guys and can't wait to see them on the field.
should be a lot of fun to go against those guys. Like you said, you've had that. And you're here at Ohio State, and you have been for 2 years. And, obviously last year against Oregon, you got nicked up in that game, and I know that was hard to come out of. But you came back, and that was a good thing. You got healthy. But, just going through that process of, playing a lot, start, and then you get hurt, and then you have to kind of rehab to get back out there and, be part of a national championship team.
Right, yeah, I mean, that was not something I was expecting. It was in the first drive of the game. Like you said, I really started getting rolling. And I was really starting to execute on the field and stuff like that. So that was definitely unfortunate and a bad kind of scenario. But I think I actually got better from that. I got to take a step back, kind of, see like behind the scenes how stuff actually works. And I really think that helped me with my playoff push and, finishing off the season well.
Will, the depth in your position group has been talked about a lot here for the first 3 weeks. How does that kind of play out with how you guys go about doing things, how you work together, and then how you've seen it translate not only with yourself, but the other tight ends on the field?
Yeah, I mean, we're super close, our unit. I mean, Coach Bailey's done a super good job of just, keeping us, just doing our jobs. We all know what we're good at and what we could, get better at. So we kind of complement each other and stuff like that. Like Max coming in, he's a route specialist. A lot of us who were previously here are blocking specialists, so we could kind of, go back and forth with our skills and help each other out.
You talked about depth, but you could also talk about height. I think the average height might be 6'6" in that room. I mean, you guys could have your little basketball team and compete well. But, again, just having that much talent, that much things, kind of good in a way. You don't have to worry about shouldering the whole load. You're going to get, maybe 20, 25 plays a game, which you're going to keep you fresh, too.
Oh, absolutely. And as you've seen, we have 14 personnel, 13 personnel. So, we're all utilized in our own ways. So it just shows how diverse our room is and what jobs we're capable of, getting done.
Well, from where you sit, how does that wide receiving group help create options for the tight ends?
I think especially last year, we got the spread teams out, and, the tight end position were mainly used as blocking and, doing a lot of the dirty work. But I think now we could kind of complement the receiving core and, get more involved in the pass game and use us in different ways, how we weren't used really last year. So.
And I saw you block Simmons. You did a great job with him, and kind of a little circle block to get back in front of him. That's impressive. You were able to do it. And believe me, I've done that before during my career. It just happens. You got to find a way to get back in front of him.
It's a strain. You got to get the job.
Yeah, you're pass blocking, and then you're pulling counter trays, and you got to get up there and get on the linebacker. So that's got to be a lot of fun too. I mean, a little bit of everything.
Oh yeah. I mean, we knew that block was. I knew I was going to be one-on-one with him at one point during the game. And, kind of oversight a little bit, but at the end of the day, you just got to get the job done and, got to find a way to get back in that position, and spin move is the only way. So,
worst case, you just start boxing like basketball. Exactly, yeah.
What's it been like, Will, for you guys to help Julian Sand get acclimated as a starting quarterback?
I think it was really important just to, especially in the Texas game, just to have great protection, let him focus on the things he needs to focus on, especially being young. He might not have been fully ready to see all that pressure in action, but I think the O-line and the tight ends did a great job protecting him and just preventing a lot of unnecessary pressure that he, did not want to see.
What was last year's experience like for you, transferring up here from Ohio and you get a chance to play in a national championship game and win that and just having that whole experience? I mean, obviously you made the right decision.
Right. I mean, it was a dream come true. I mean, I'm still trying to process it. I mean, come from, Ohio, I had no thought about being in a national championship, and then coming here, going through spring ball, going through fall camp, failing multiple times to get to where I, got to. It was awesome. It was, like I said, a dream come true.
The experience of playing in Ohio Stadium, all of the things that come with that, what's that been like now as you go into your second year?
At first, last year we played Akron, West Virginia, that felt like an away game to me, even though it was at home. But, you get used to it, and, Ohio Stadium feels like home now. So now you can just go out and play football.
What's your opinion of Caleb Downs? Everybody thinks he's the best safety in the country. What does he do? And, I know he's a great teammate, but, just seeing him out there in the field and all the things that he can do and all the things that he can diagnose before the play even happens.
I mean, like you said, he knows how to diagnose everything. He's, by far one of the best covering safeties I've ever, practiced against. We see him every day. Especially the tight ends, we do multiple drills where we're going against him, some of the other safeties, and just the way he stays calm under pressure. He knows how to communicate with the other DBs. It's pretty cool to see.
Well, thank you for coming out and spending some time with us. We appreciate it, and all the best come Saturday.
Thank you.
Say hello to all your friends when you see them Saturday. That's Ohio State tight end Will Kacmarek. Join us Saturday as Ohio State hosts Ohio University. We will be on the air from Ohio Stadium beginning at 5:30 p.m. The Ryan Day Show is presented by Roosters. It's also been brought to you statewide by Encova Insurance, by the American Dairy Association Mideast. Again, that game Saturday will start at 7 p.m. at Ohio Stadium. We'll be on the air with our AEP Energy Buckeye pregame show starting at 5:30. On behalf of Skip Mossick, Colin Behringer, Cole Bertimus, for Jim Lachey, Coach Ryan Day, as well as Will Kacmarek, this is Paul Keels. Thanks for listening. This is the Ohio State Sports Network, presented by the Ohio State Wexner Medical Center, the team physicians for Ohio State Athletics.